I have explained 4 sessions of Kayanupassana already. Today we are going to learn contemplation of elements. Kayanupassana Dhatu Manasikara Papa. There are 4 primary elements that make up our body: Patavi, earth element; Abo, water element; Tejo, fire element; and Vayo, air element. The Buddha taught us how to contemplate these 4 elements within our body to sharpen mindfulness and wisdom. When you look at the body, everyone knows it is composed of a series of parts. The skeleton forms the framework determining the body structure. Flesh, sinew, and skin hold it together. When you look at the body, everyone knows it is composed of a series of parts. The skeleton forms the framework determining the body structure. Flesh, sinew, and skin hold it together. The skeleton is covered with flesh, bound by sinew, and is wrapped around by skin, giving it the appearance of a human body. It is like a house. It is like building a house. The Abo element refers to blood and bodily fluids. Tejo element is the heat within the body. The Vayo element is the wind or movement within the body. The Patavi element is solid matter that makes up the skeleton, flesh, sinews, skin, and so on. Therefore, we practice contemplation to see ourselves as merely the 4 elements, rather than perceiving ourselves as a person or body. Let's see the Pali. We recite together Pali. If you don't open the speaker, also okay. You try to recite Pali to make you familiar with the Pali word. Punaja Bram Bhikkhave Bhikkhu Imameva Gaya Yatha Ditan Yatha Panihitan Dhatu Sopajavakati Ati Ima Same Gaye Patavi Dhatu Abo Dhatu Tejo Dhatu Vayo Dhatu Di. Again, monks, a monk contemplates this very body, however it is placed, however disposed, by way of elements thus. In this body, there are the earth element, the water element, the air element, and the fire element, and the air element. It is as the simile below. Siyatabi Bhikkhave Dako Gogan Dakowa Gogan Dakandi Wa Siwa Gawin Wadedwa Jatu Mahapati Pila So Vipajidwa Niseno Asa Ewa Miwa Ko Bhikkhave Bhikkhu Ima Miwa Gaya Yatha Dita Yatha Panihita Dhatu So Pajawakati. Just that a state butcher or his apprentice, having slaughtered a cow, he sat at the crossroad with it cut up into pieces and classified into groups. At that moment, the butcher no longer thought of himself as selling a cow. In his mind, the perception of cow had disappeared, and he was only thinking of selling pints of beef. In the same way, a monk contemplates this very body, however it is placed, however disposed, by way of elements, thus, Atti ima samain kaye, Patavi dhatu, Abo dhatu, Tejo dhatu, Vayo dhatu, di. In this body, there are the earth element, the water element, the fire element, and the air element. Here, I would like to share a little bit about the four elements. When the four elements are in balance, we feel well and healthy. But when they become imbalanced, we start to feel discomfort, which we call sickness. Eventually, if one of the four elements become dominant and overwhelm the others, we call it death. For example, when the earth element becomes excessive, the body becomes stiff and hard, leading to death. When the water element is imbalanced, such as through water retention, pneumonia, excessive bleeding, or severe diarrhea, it can cause death. When the fire element is too strong, it can lead to high fever or extremely low body temperature, resulting in death. When the air element is excessive, it can cause conditions like serious stroke, which may also lead to death. So in most cases, death happens because of an imbalance among the four elements. Let's go to the topic again. After a monk can contemplate the four elements in this way, the Buddha continued to teach thus. Iti ajatawa kaye kayanupasi viharati, Bahedawa kaye kayanupasi viharati, Ajata Bahedawa kaye kayanupasi viharati. In this way, he draws contemplating the body as a body internally, or he draws contemplating the body as a body externally, or he draws contemplating the body as a body both internally and externally. Then he will see the characteristic of arising and passing away, and vipassana jnana will begin to arise. He should continue thus. Samudaya dhamma nupasiva kaya samay viharati, vaya dhamma nupasiva kaya samay viharati, samudaya vaya dhamma nupasiva kaya samay viharati. So too he draws contemplating the nature of arising in the body, or he draws contemplating the nature of passing away in the body, or he draws contemplating the nature of both arising and passing away in the body. Finally, mindfulness becomes strong and insight knowledge arises afterwards. Atikayoti wa panasa satipachupatita hoti yawadi wa jnana mataya patisati mataya anesi doja viharati naja genji loke upadiyati. Moreover, his mindfulness is established with the thought. There is only the body. Such mindfulness serves to develop further knowledge and awareness. He draws independent and without being attached to anything in the world. This means becoming an arahant. Evam bhikho bhikkhave bhikkhu kaye kayanupasi viharati. That too, monks is how a monk dwells contemplating the body as a body. Regarding Kayanupassana Satipatthana, what we have just studied covers the first 5 sessions. The remaining 9 are reflection on corpses, various stages of decomposition that can be observed in a cemetery. So 5 plus 9 make a total of 14 types of Kayanupassana Satipatthana taught by the Buddha. Now let's proceed the corpse session, the 9 channel ground, Kayanupassana, Nawasi Watika Papa. This is the contemplation of 9 types of corpses that have been discarded in a cemetery. Let's see the first one. Recite together. Punacha Pram Bhikkhave Bhikkhu Siyata Vipassaya Sariran Sivatikaya Chatitan Eka Hamadanwa Trihamadhanwa Dihamadhanwa Otumadakan Vinilakan Vipopakajatan So Ima Miwa Kayan Upasaharati Ayambi Kogayo Ewan Dhammo Ewan Bhavi Ewan Nati Doti. Again, monks, as though he were to see a corpse thrown aside in a charnel ground, 1 or 2 or 3 days dead. Bloated, livid, and oozing with matter, a monk compares this very body with it, thinking, this body too is of the same nature. It will become like that. It is not exempt from that condition. Having contemplated in this way, then he proceeds to develop internally and externally thus. Iti ajatanwa kayi kayanupasi viharati. In this way, he dwells contemplating the body as a body internally. Bahedawa kayi kayanupasi viharati. Or he dwells contemplating the body as a body externally. Ajata bahedawa kayi kayanupasi viharati. Or he dwells contemplating the body as a body, both internally and externally. Then he will see the characteristic of arising and passing away, and vipassana jnana will begin to arise. He should continue thus. Samudaya dhamma nupasiva kaya samay viharati. So too he dwells contemplating its nature of arising in the body. Vaya dhamma nupasiva kaya samay viharati. Or he dwells contemplating its nature of passing away in the body. Samudaya vaya dhamma nupasiva kaya samay viharati. Or he dwells contemplating its nature of both arising and passing away in the body. Finally, mindfulness becomes strong and insight knowledge arises afterward. Ati kayoti wa panasa sati pachupatita hoti. Moreover, his mindfulness is established with the thought, there is only the body. Yawa deva jnana mataya patisati mataya. Such mindfulness serves to develop further knowledge and awareness. Anisi doja viharati. He dwells independent and Naja Genji Loki Upadiyati. without being attached to anything in the world. Evam bhikho bhikkhave bhikkhu kaye kayanupasi viharati. That too, monks, is how a monk dwells contemplating the body as a body. After that, the second kind of corpse is to be contemplated. Punaja param bhikkhave bhikkhu siya tabi paseya sarira siwati kaya chatita kakehi wa kachamana kulalehi wa kachamana kechehi wa kachamana kenkehi wa kachamana sunakehi wa kachamana bhyakehi wa kachamana dipihi wa kachamana Singalihi wa kachamana, vividehi wa panaka jatehi kachamana, so imami wa kaya upasaharati, ayampi ko kayo, ewan dhammo, ewan bhavi, ewan nati dodi. Again, as though he were to see a corpse thrown aside in a charnel ground, being devoured by crows, hawks, vultures, herons, dogs, tigers, leopards, jackals, or various kinds of worms. A man compares this very body with its death. This body of mine too is of the same nature. It will become like that. It will not exempt from that nature. After contemplating this kind of corpses, he continues to contemplate both internally and externally. But here we we know this part already, this Pali part are same thing, so we skip. This here, you may know already, we have to do internally and externally again and again. After doing this, we will see the nature of arising and disappear. When we see arising and disappear, also we have to contemplate arising and disappear again and again. Later, because of the mindfulness and wisdom become sharper, and we will attain more wisdom, more knowledge, and more sati, and then finally we will be independent from anything. We are not clinging to anything. Then the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth kinds of corpse need to be contemplated as follows. Punaja param bhikkhave bhikkhu siya tabi paseya sariran siwati kaya chatita attika sinkhalika samansa lohitan naru sambandha attika sinkhalika nimansa lohita makhita naru sambandha attika sinkhalika apagata mansa lohita naru sambandha. Again, as though he were to see a corpse thrown aside in a charnel ground, a skeleton with flesh and blood held together with sinews. Another one is a fleshless skeleton smeared with blood held together with sinews. Another one is a skeleton without flesh and blood held together with sinews. And then another corpse is Atikani apagata sambandani disa vidisa viketani inyena hatatika inyena padatika inyena gopakatika inyena zingatika inyena urotika inyena gadetika inyena pasukatika inyena pedetika inyena kandatika inyena giwatika inyena hanukatika inyena dandatika inyena sisakataha so ima miwa kaya upasaharati ayampi kokayo ewan damo ewan bawi ewan nati doti. Disconnected bones gather in all directions. Here a hand bone, there a foot bone, here an ankle bone, there a shin bone, here a hip bone, there a spine bone, here a rib bone, there a back bone, here a shoulder bone, there a neck bone, here a jaw bone, there a tooth bone, here the scalp bone. A bhikkhu compares this very body with his best. This body of mine too is of the same nature. It will become like that. It is not exempt from that nature. After he contemplates these kinds of corpses also, he continued to contemplate both internally and externally. We skip this part again. The 7, 8, and 9 kinds of corpses are to be contemplated. Punaja Bran Bhikkhave Bhikkhu Siyata Vipassaya Sariran Siwati Kaya Chatitam Atikani Setani Sankhavanya Patipagani Atikani Ponjakitani Derovasikani Atikani Bhuttini Jonakajatani So Ima Mewakaya Upasaharati Ayampi kokayo ewan dhammo ewan bawi ewan nati doti. Again, as though he were to see a corpse thrown aside in a charnel ground, bones bleached white like the color of a conch, bones heaped up more than a year old, and bone rotted and crumbled into powder. These are three types of corpse become bone. A man compared this very body with it thus. This body of mine too is of the same nature. It will become like that. It is not exempt from that nature. After that, he continues to contemplate both internally and externally. Also, this is final part. So we recite together. Iti ajatawa kaye kayanupasi viharati. Bahedawa kaye kayanupasi viharati. Ajata bahedawa kaye kayanupasi viharati. In this way, he dwells contemplating the body as the body internally, or he dwells contemplating the body as the body externally, or he dwells contemplating the body as a body both internally and externally. While contemplating the body again and again, he will see the nature of arising and passing away. If he sees those characteristics, he must contemplate vipassana on those characteristics of arising and passing away. Samudaya Dhamma Nupasiva Kaya Same Viharati. Vaya Dhamma Nupasiva Kaya Same Viharati. Samudaya Vaya Dhamma Nupasiva Kaya Same Viharati. So too, he draws contemplating the nature of arising in the body, or he draws contemplating the nature of passing away in the body, or he draws contemplating the nature of both arising and passing away in the body. By contemplating vipassana again and again like this, his vipassana jnana becomes sharper and atti kayoti va panassa sati pachu patita hoti yawa deva jnana mataya pate sati mataya anisi doja viharati naja kinji loke upadiyati evam bhikho bhikkhave bhikkhu kaye kayanupassi viharati. Moreover, his mindfulness is established with the thought there is only the body. Such mindfulness serves to develop further knowledge and awareness. He draws independent and without being attached to anything in the world. This means becoming an arahant. That too, monks, is how a monk draws contemplating the body as a body. In summary, contemplation on Kayanupassana Satipatthāna involves 14 kinds of objects. In order to practice Kayanupassana Satipatthāna, 3 essential factors are require atapi, ardent effort or viriya, sambhajano, clear awareness, and satima, mindfulness. We need atapi in everything we do. Without it, success is impossible. In meditation, 2 types of effort are necessary: kayika viriya, physical effort, and cetasika viriya, mental effort. Among these, cetasika viriya is more important. The mind must remain enthusiastic and persistent until the goal is reached. This is what is meant by atapi. Sambhajano means being clearly aware of that we are doing. It requires continuous observation of the mind's condition. The mind can sometimes become inactive or overly active. If it is inactive, we must try to energize it. If it is overactive, we should calm it down. We need to continuously observe and be aware of the condition of the mind. This is called sambhajana, clear awareness. For example, some yogis trying too hard with the mind overly eager for succeed in meditation. This is not the right approach. Excessive effort does not lead to success. Take the example of shooting a gun or an arrow. If the mind is overly excited, the aim will be off and the target missed. To succeed, the mind must be balanced and calm with equanimity. On the other hand, if the mind is down or filled with fear, it will not be successful. Therefore, we need to adjust the mind with sati, mindfulness. In meditation practice, the essential factors are atapi, ardent effort, which correspond to sammavayama, right effort. Sambhajano, clear awareness, which relate to sammadati, right view. Once sammadati arises, sammasankappa, right thought is also present. Satima, mindfulness, which is samasati, right mindfulness. Thus, the three essential factors in meditation are viriya, effort, panya, wisdom, and sati, mindfulness. They function within their respective work and do not go beyond their limit. For example, what is the function of eyes? The function of the eyes is seeing. Walking is not the work of the eyes. Hearing is the function of the ears. Smelling is the function of the nose. Tasting is the function of the tongue. The ear or the nose cannot perform the work of eyes. Respective organs can work in their respective work only. In the same way, the function of sati is to take the object. However, being aware of the object is not the work of sati. That is the function of panya, wisdom. In order for panya to clearly understand the object, samma sankappa, right thought, and samma samadhi, right concentration, are also necessary. Therefore, when one meditates, three factors are essential: atapi, sampajano, satima. In addition, the five magginga, samadhi, right view, samma sankappa, right thought, samma vayama, right effort, samma sati, right mindfulness, and samadhi, samma samadhi, right concentration, are also essential. These five are called karaka magginga, meaning the path factors that are actively working during meditation. Samma vayama, right speech, samma kammanta, right action, and samma ajiva, right livelihood, do not function during meditation. They are sila, observed ahead to be pure. Once sila is pure, it becomes easier to develop samadhi, concentration. Among the 8 magginga, path factors, only 5 are actively working during meditation. All eight path factors arise and function together. Only one magga-citta, path consciousness, arises. Among the 14 kinds of Kaya-nupassana Satipatthāna taught in the Mahāsatipaṭṭhāna Sutta, if we practice even just one of them, we can gain the 7 benefits. Therefore, we only need to practice in a thorough and efficient way. By doing so, we will surely receive the benefits. Now, let us proceed to Vedana-nupassana Satipatthāna, contemplation of feelings. Vedana is the nature of Dhamma which arises depending on the mind. If we have a mind, we have Vedana also. When the mind contacts an object, the mind feels the taste of the object. Vedana means the feeling of the taste of the object. There are 3 kinds of feeling in the mind, such as pleasant, unpleasant, and neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Every mind has Vedana. If the mind mixes with the object, the mind knows the nature of the object, meaning it knows the feeling of the taste of the object. It knows the feeling as pleasant or unpleasant, etc. For instance, if pleasure arises in the mind because of seeing a likable object, it is the experience of pleasure, and it is called somanasa vedana in Pali. Satisfaction arises in the mind whenever meeting with likable object. Vedana is a type of dhamma that arises depending on the mind. When the mind comes into contact with an object, it experiences the taste of or the flavor of that object. Every moment of consciousness is associated with some kind of vedana. When the mind contacts an object, it knows the nature of that object. That is, it experiences a feeling in response to it. The feeling may be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. For example, if pleasure arises in the mind upon seeing a pleasing or attractive object, that is the experience of a pleasant feeling, known in Pali as somanasa vedana. Satisfaction or joy naturally arises when the mind encounters a likable or desirable object. Although vedana is commonly translated into English as feeling or sensation, the Venerable Retta Siaro preferred the term experience. The mind gets an experience. Sanya is the mental factor that recognizes or acknowledges that experience. For example, if an object gives rise to a pleasant experience and Sanya recognizes it as such, then whenever the mind encounters that same object again, the pleasant experience, somanasa vedana, will arise once again. Similarly, if Sanya has previously recognized the object as unpleasant or frightening, then upon encountering the same object again, unpleasant or fearful experience, domanasa vedana will arise. Sometimes, when an object is insignificant or unremarkable, the mind may experience a neutral feeling, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, known as upekha vedana. This neutral feeling is subtle and difficult to notice. The mind experiences different kinds of feeling. A pleasant feeling in the mind is called sukha vedana. An unpleasant feeling is called dukkha vedana. A neutral feeling, which is neither pleasant nor unpleasant, but still noticeable, is called adukkha masukha vedana. Therefore, Vedananupassana means contemplation of feeling, observing and understanding the nature of these different experiences as they arise in the mind. Whenever the mind encounters an object, consciousness arises, and with it, mental feeling also arises clearly. People often express this by saying, "It is very happy," or it is very sad. In doing so, they are speaking about Vedana. However, people rarely mention neutral feelings because these are subtle and not easily noticed. But it is important to understand that every moment of consciousness is accompanied by Vedana. As long as the mind arises, Vedana arises with it. Even the Mahāsatipaṭṭhāna, part consciousness, which arises for only a single moment, is accompanied by Vedana. The Phalacita, fruit consciousness, which takes Nirvana as its object, also has Sukha Vedana, pleasant feeling. Vedana is a mental feeling or mental experience. Most people only become aware of Vedana when it is strong and distinct, when they clearly feel it themselves. For example, when people see a chili, they immediately remember that it is spicy. Because of the alertness initiated by Sanya perception, which has recognized chili as spicy. The moment they see it, the feeling that it is spicy arises. Likewise, if someone has previously encountered something frightening, the scary feeling arises again upon seeing it. Because Sanya has recognized it as something scary. When the person sees it again, a scary feeling arises once more. Therefore, mental feeling or mental experience is called Vedana. Vedana is a Cetasika, mental factor. There are 52 Cetasika and each has its own distinct function. Cetasika represent the various activities or operation of the mind. Among these 52 Cetasika, the Buddha taught the contemplation of Vedana as an object of vipassana. In the Sakkapanya Sutta, the Buddha also advised Gansaka to contemplate Vedana. There are many references in the scripture regarding Vedana. The Buddha preached in the Vedana Samyutta also concerning Vedana. Thus, the Buddha Dhamma is profound and cannot be fully explained in just one session. Moreover, the Buddha often taught the Dhamma according to the needs of the individual, adapting his teaching based on each person's character and inclination. He presented the Dhamma in various ways to suit different temperaments. Happiness and neutral feeling are all types of mental feeling, Vedana. Happiness and unhappiness are more obvious, while neutral feeling is more subtle. To contemplate feeling, one must first establish sati, mindfulness. Only when sati takes or holds the object can panya become aware of its nature. For example, if we want to read a book, the hand must first open it. If the hand does not open the book, the eyes cannot see what is inside. Only when both the hand and eyes function together can we read. In the same way, sati is like the hand that opens the book. and Pinya is like the eye that reads it. Sati takes the object, Pinya understands its nature. Pinya cannot take the object, and Sati cannot understand it. They work together by performing their own respective work. In the Mahāsatipaṭṭhāna Sutta, the Buddha taught Vedana as Vedananupassana, one of the four Satipatthāna, foundation of mindfulness. Vedananupassana refers to the repeated contemplation of mental feeling. Contemplating mental feeling again and again means to take the feeling with sati and to know the true nature of the feeling with pinya. The word anupassana has two key meanings: contemplating again and again and proper seeing. If we view Vedana as I or mind feeling, this is not proper seeing. But if we see Vedana simply as Vedana, understanding that Vedana is impermanent, anatta, suffering, dukkha, and non-self, anatta, then that is the right view and proper contemplation. Due to anupassana, contemplating again and again, or proper seeing, sati must take the lead. It is mindfulness that brings the object into focus so that Pinya can see it clearly and wisely. Vedana is one of the five khandha. When the Buddha taught about the five khandha, he also explained the concept of upadana khandha. The term khandha is used to cover the totality of existence in five groups. Number one, rupa, material form. Two, vedana, feeling. Sanya, perception. The remaining cetasika, led by cetana, and vijnana, consciousness. Upadana khandha means seeing khandha in view of tanha or in view of ditthi. Only such upadana khandha is an object of vipassana. Why must we contemplate the upadana khandha as a vipassana object? Because by doing vipassana, seeing things as they really are on upadana khandha, the wrong view regarding the khandha will gradually disappear. That's why the Buddha specifically taught the contemplation of the upadana khandha. It is realistic. Think about it. Can we be attached to something we have never seen before? No. Kilesa, defilements, do not arise over things that we have never encountered. Kilesa only arise in relation to things we have already experienced, things we have seen, heard, felt, or thought about. For example, if a person has never eaten a durian and has never heard about its delicious taste, he would not have any desire to eat it. But if someone tells him that durian taste is very good, he might then become curious and develop a desire to try it. In the same way, kilesa, defilements do not arise over things we have never seen or heard. Kilesa arise when there is experience involved with tanha, craving. Once there is such experience, then whenever we see this, tanha and ditthi arise on this. Whenever we see that, tanha and ditthi arise on that. Therefore, the Buddha taught us to practice vipassana on the upadana khanda, the aggregate that we cling to, in order to break free from the obsession caused by tanha and ditthi. For example, regarding Vedana-nupassana, we cannot contemplate the Vedana that arise together with any Magga or Phalacita. This is because we have never experienced that kind of Vedana before, and tanha and ditthi cannot arise in relation to that Vedana due to the presence of Lokuttara Jnana, supramundane knowledge. We must practice vipassana on types of Vedana that we cling to in order to eliminate that obsession. This obsession has dominated us throughout samsara, and removing it is not easy. However, we must begin by practicing vipassana to gradually weaken it step by step. Even if the obsession is not fully eliminated in this life through vipassana practice, the effort made now will enable its removal more easily in the future life. But if we do not practice now, we will not be able to eliminate it in the next life either. If we don't have parami and we don't want to practice, then we will continue lacking parami. Practicing in this life is the essential cause for gaining parami in the next life. Bhikkhu Chulapanna serves as a clear example. In one of his past lives, he saw a clean white towel become dirty after wiping the sweat from his body. Witnessing how a pure white towel was stained by this very body, he experienced a moment of samvega, religious emotion. In his final lives as Bhikkhu Chulapanna, the Buddha gave him a white towel and instructed him to rub it with his hand. So he could contemplate vipassana as the towel gradually becomes swined. The samvega he had experienced in a past life arose even more strongly in the present life, becoming a powerful condition for the rapid attainment of arahata, Magga, and Phala. That moment of samvega in a previous life was his parami carried forward. Now, when we study Abhidhamma, listen to Dhamma talks, and engage in meditation, these wholesome actions become our parami. If we do not engage in such practice now, we will not develop parami for the future life. The story of Bhikkhu Chulapanna is clear evidence that the effort we make in practice are never wasted. They accumulated and mature, bearing fruit when conditions are right. Another example is Yasa, the son of a very worthy man in Varanasi, who became an arahant soon after the 5 Panchavakkiya monks. He lives in luxury with 3 palaces, one for the summer, one for the winter, and one for the rainy season. He fully enjoys all kinds of sensual pleasures. So how did he develop samvega, religious emotion? If one of the part, in one of his past life, he voluntarily cremated corpses that had been discarded in a cemetery. The corpses varied in age and appearance. Some were old, some young, some beautiful, and some ugly. As he cremated them, he observed how all these bodies, regardless of their former appearance, became deformed and disfigured. A deep sense of samvega arose in him as he reflected. This body, once considered beautiful, now lies disfigured and decaying, and one day my body too will become like this. This thoughtful reflection became his parami, the good quality that grew in his past life and helped him quickly become an arahant. Therefore, in the life of Yasa, when he perceived his luxurious surrounding as being no different from a cemetery, he left home that very night. The samvega that had arisen in a past life through wholesome deeds was stirred once again, enabling him to renounce the world in such a way. No wholesome deeds, kusala, ever goes to waste. That's why we must meditate willingly, not superficially. If we truly practice meditation for even 1 hour, the knowledge gained during that hour will remain online, meaning it will arise again when the right conditions come. It is stored and it will manifest accordingly. Parami means performing wholesome actions without dana, craving. These actions become supportive causes for favorable conditions in the future. Let me stop here for today. Yesterday, one audience asked the question. I will answer that question now. The question is, if a yogi mind has a strong tendency and inclination to see sunyata, anatta, much more than the other 2 characteristics, should this yogi focus more on the practice of Dhammanupassana according to the connection to the 3 kinds of vipallasa, slide 49. Sunyata is emptiness. The answer, sunyata is emptiness, anatta is non-self. They do not have the same meaning. They are not the same kind. Why we meditate? We cannot choose to contemplate only what we want. We must focus on the object that clearly appears in the mind. Different objects have different qualities. For example, when a lower mind arises, if someone focuses on the lower mind itself, this is Citta Nupassana, contemplation of mind. If another focuses on the feeling connected to that lower mind, this is Vedana Nupassana, contemplation of feeling. If someone else focuses on the lower cetasika of that lower mind, this is Dhammanupassana, contemplation of phenomena. So focus on whatever is clearly present in the mind at that moment. At the beginning of meditation, the characteristic of arising and passing away may not yet be clear. At the time, there is no need to focus contemplation of anicca, impermanent, dukkha, suffering, or anatta, non-self. Only when the characteristic of arising and passing away naturally appears do we begin to contemplate anicca, the impermanent nature of things. This impermanent is the most important and the basic insight. When we see this arising and passing away repeatedly, we begin to feel dukkha, suffering. Seeing suffering leads us to realize that everything happens according to its nature and we cannot control it as we wish. This realization is anatta, non-self. Therefore, we cannot choose one characteristic, anicca or dukkha or anatta, to focus on random. We must discern and note whatever characteristic is appearance in the mind. If we practice contemplation on any object continuously and correctly, it will eventually bring us to the goal. This is the answer. So we cannot decide anatta. We will discern anatta nature or anicca nature or dukkha nature, but only we try to discern what is appear in the mind. But when those three characteristics appear in the mind clearly, only at the time we can choose one, what we like.
Sayali, I just want to clarify that answer, Sayali.
Mm-mm.
So when a loba mind arises, so you at that moment you can choose to either contemplate on the loba citta itself, or you can choose to contemplate on the Vedana that is associated with that citta, which is Vedana Nupassana, or you can focus on the Cetasika that are associated with that citta, and that would be Dhamma Nupassana. But only when the mind arises can you choose those three objects to do Vipassana on, right, Sayali?
Yes, any object appear. In that any object appear, for example, if we do anapana also, the mind we are knowing the anapana In that mind also, we have Vedana and Citta and some Cetasika. So if we focus the Rupa, that is Rupa or body, that is Kayanupassana. If we focus on the Vedana, that is Vedananupassana. If we focus on the Citta, that is Cittanupassana. If we focus on the Cetasika, that is Dhammanupassana.
Okay, thank you, Sayadaw.
So let's talk for today. As some are maybe not familiar with the sharing of merit Pali. That's why I show here, and we recite together. We share our merit, what we have done today, to all living beings by reciting Idami Punya. Idami Punya Asawakaya Waha Hotu Idami Punya Nibbanasa Pachayo Hotu Mama Punya Bhaga Sabha Satana Pajini Desapi Misama Punya Bhaga Labantu Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu.